Let's talk pan frying. It's different from deep frying. Deep frying is when you submerge foods and we use a really big pot. Pan frying is more efficient. You're using less oil. This vessel is especially good for pan frying because it's so high-sided. Pan frying is frying in a small amount of oil so that the item is not necessarily submerged. But you need it high enough so the oil isn't going to boil over. And I think that's why people are afraid of deep frying and pan frying, and they shouldn't be, as long as you use proper vessels and the right amount of oil. Today we're talking about fried chicken, which was one of my favorite foods, period. I got obsessed with it when I was working with Thomas Keller and Dave Creuset on the Bouchon cookbook. They were going through recipe after recipe trying to find the perfect fried chicken for their restaurant. I've made it my own. I've changed the brine. I use rosemary in my brine. Brining is very important. It keeps it juicy. That's what cooking is about, is understanding a fundamental technique, something that works, and then making it your own. That's what's fun about it. So first we're going to break down a chicken. How do you break down a chicken for pan frying? First, I take off the legs. We divide it into all its pieces. So I cut through the flap between the leg and the breast, and then I cut through the skin, and there's a little oyster there of meat that you want to capture, and then you pop that joint, and you cut through, and then you have one leg. What I'm going to do with the legs is separate them into their thigh and drumstick. And there's a little line of fat, which you will see when you do this. If you put your knife right through that line of fat, it will go right through the joint. Now I take the wings off. Sometimes it's hard to find the joint. I look for the joint, cut through that, and I take a little bit of the breast meat off so I have some more meat on that. I'm going to save all the parts I'm not going to use for stock. Now what I'm going to do with the wing to make sure that we have a nice distinct piece is we're going to separate the skin here so that we have a nice defined wing. Now we're going to cut through, take the whole breast off, but keep it on the bone. I'm going to cut through the ribs, just below the wishbone. So you have a whole breast here with a back. It's going to be saved for stock. And for fried chicken, we want to keep it on the bone because that'll keep it nice and moist. So I'm going to cut it into 3 pieces. We're going to cut it this way first, widthwise, cut through the keel bone, and then we've got 2 thick, fat pieces either side of the breast, again through the keel bone, but lengthwise. And then we have our 9 pieces of chicken. We're going to put them in a bag. We're going to brine them. Now, why do we brine? Is it worth it? Why go through this extra step? We brine for very good reason. One, it's salt water. It seasons the bird. The salt penetrates the bird. So we season the meat thoroughly throughout. The brine also flavors the meat. I use lemon and rosemary and some onion in my brine. I'm going to just brine it for at least 8 hours or overnight. And get all the air out. And you haven't used a lot of brine. Tie that off with a twist tie, and I'm going to pop it into the fridge overnight. The best cooking advice I've ever received has nothing to do with cooking. It has everything to do with being organized before you begin cooking. Being organized makes all of cooking easier. Mise en place, tools in place, nothing that you don't need in your way. That's where great cooking begins. Okay, now here I have a whole bird cut up just as I just cut it up that I brined last night. And we're going to bread it. This is a standard breading procedure. So I put the thighs and the drumsticks in, give it a little shake, get it started. The buttermilk sticks to the dried flour. And then the second flour sticks to the wet buttermilk. That's how breading works. When you're doing this, try and keep one hand clean. It can be a little messy because your fingers tend to get breaded as well. This is a little spicy. It's got some cayenne in it. It's got pepper. Pepper, I think, is a critical seasoning in fried chicken. I use about a tablespoon per cup of flour as my general rule for the perfect amount of pepper. And then you shake off the flour, and there's a piece ready. Now, I've actually gotten the urge to fry chicken because it can come on you with something fierce, and if you've just got chicken and you want to fry chicken, well, nothing's going to stop you. So what I do is I find something acidic like sour cream or yogurt and milk and mix it to the right viscosity, and that will serve for my buttermilk. So you don't have to have buttermilk. Buttermilk is ideal, but if you're in a pinch, improvise. Okay, messy part's done. Now we're ready to fry. I'm going to start with the thighs. And I just gently lay them in. If you want, you can use tongs. Those are fine. Just as many as will comfortably fit on the bottom. I'm going to make a little bit of room. I got a little bit more room here for the wing, I think. That way I'll be able to get it done in 2 fries. What I really love about this technique is that I don't even really need to worry about how done it is. I'm going to cook it till it looks good, and then I'm going to put it on a rack and put it in a 200-degree oven and let it sit there and finish cooking in there while I finish frying off this chicken. When I finish this, I'm going to relax for a little while and let that finish cooking. It's a great technique. Oh, gorgeous. See already, I can't wait to eat this. Okay, here it is. I've relaxed a little. I've finished dinner. I'm ready to put together a platter. I love to serve fried chicken family style, so I'm just going to arrange it. And a drumstick. And I love lemon with fried chicken. Gives a little visual blast of color and a zing of flavor as you're eating. With the rosemary. So there it is. Deep skillet fried chicken. Make it.